Hello everybody. I'm back to just expound on this B1 calculator a little bit. I didn't show you quite everything I wanted to show you on the last video. And the one thing I said on that video that I liked about that bend was I was able to add flexibility into this layout and able to make adjustments to the radius, offset, and the angle. And so I wanted to show you what a little bit what I meant with that. And basically I use it for doing parallels. There's a few bends that you can use for parallels. One was this B1 layout that works really good because all the pipes are the same length. Offsets work real good because their overall length is the same. And there's also another bend called a B1 bend that I haven't made a program for yet, and it basically has this crossover thing going on where you going outside to inside, and you're basically, when you're done, you're canceling out the lengths of the pipe where they're all the same length. Now, what was interesting about this bend is that I'm going to show you how to use this calculator, this B1. It's not going to use any of this down here. We're just going to work on one conduit at a time, and we're going to just make adjustments in it so that when we're done, that the overall length, we're going to have little differences in tail stubs. These are going to increase as we go, but the overall length when we're done, and we'll be changing the angles too, is going to be all the same for all three of these. We're going to correct the parallel lengths so all the pipes are all the same length. And I don't know of anybody who's done that. I haven't looked at really at anybody else's stuff, what they're doing out there, for quite a while. In all reality, nobody had anything going with these parallel kicks when I was started doing this stuff. Was one of the main reasons I did it, because parallel kicks are the hardest type of layouts to do, to do in a series. So that's the reason I made them. So what I want to do first with this is I want to show you this choke to spread calculator here. And what I showed you before was, if I come in here and I put a 2 in here, let me go ahead and load this first pipe, and we'll use the same reverse stub as I used before. Okay, and 10-inch offset. And and I could go over explaining the same things over and over on these calculators, because there's a lot of this similar stuff with them, but it just you get tired of hearing it over and over. So hopefully you watch some of these other videos. Okay, so there's my first layout. I go ahead and put it in there. And there's all the numbers for it right there for my first conduit. Now what I did in the first video with this B1 stub was I put a 2-inch spread, hit it here, and I got a 1.789 choke. Okay, so that's your constraint on this bend is what you have to watch out for. But I wanted to show you also that there's this little P down here, and there's a little S over here. You'll see them on some of these other calculators too. This means primary. If there's something put into this box, it takes it. Okay, let me go ahead and put a 2 here, and if I go ahead and hit it here, okay, it's taking this, and that's your primary. Now you can also put something in this box here and work it back the other way. Okay, if there's nothing in here, then I can go ahead and put a whatever. I'll put the 1.78 in here. I think that's what it was, and go ahead and hit my button. Now it brings back the 2. So you can work back and forth with this, depending on what you want to work with, and just make sure you got enough choker. If you want to work off the choking and work back to the spread. So that's just like a little side spread choke calculator. Okay, now I want to get in these parallels and show you what I want to do. And I'm going to take, clears out, so we're not doing anything with these at all. We're just going to work up in 3 different types of bends. And okay, well, we're going to do our first bend, and we got a rack of 4-inch conduits. You're running overhead, and we need to drop down, and our rack is we have to put our conduits into the top of a can or whatever. Our rack has to go in line with our rack that we're running. It's not like this B1, it just comes here, chops off. These are going to take and going to run here, then run here, then run here. They're running out this way. Okay, so if you was in that scenario, if I was doing this, I'd use this if I was just coming straight down. But this is going in line with the rack, so we have to do something else. So to keep all our pipes the same length, let's say we had a stub 48 inches, our furthest one, and I looked up the Greenleaf's radius on 4 inches, 20 inches, and the offset. Let's say we had a 16-inch offset, and of course I'm going to use a 26.565 as my first conduit. Okay, so this is what we have here. This you have all this, and then this tail stub is 76.97 inches. Okay, so what we want to do is have our next conduit 76.97 inches, and what the biggest part of it's probably taken up in the radius. I'm figuring to put a 6-inch spread in between the pipes at the panel, but that has nothing to do with this because it isn't this layout. We're just kind of on the fly with this one, and we're going to do 6-inch center to center on, going into the top of a can. But I'm going to add a little bit. Instead of saying 6 inches with the rack, the offset, I'm going to add another extra couple inches, because the more offset, the more shrink. And what we have to do is make up for that 6 inches difference in these conduits. Okay, so let me go ahead. This pipe's going to be 6 inches shorter. Okay, so oops. And these adjustments, I haven't seen. There's one guy kind of tearing off out there, and you got to kind of expect that. But I don't think he has any of these adjustments going on. And this is really the main feature of these calculators is how you configure all this stuff. These adjustments. After you're done, you know how much one pipe changes from another, and that's what we're using here. Okay, let's just go ahead and start off at the 2.56 just to go with it. So and our offset is going to be the 16 plus another 8. We're going to have a 24-inch offset. Okay, so more offset is more shrink. We pushed ahead another 6 inches, but now we're trying to shrink it back. And what happens with this, the angle here, we're vying between shrink and gain, so they're tit for tat. They're working against each other. So let's see what happens. Okay, let's start with the first one. Okay, so this conduit is 81.088, so it's 5 inches longer than the other one. Okay, so a lot of that offset took up a lot of it, but it's 5 inches more. So let's go ahead and increase this bend angle, and I can tell you here and get to here to 45. Let's take it to there. Okay, now we're at 77. We're almost there. We got a lot closer. Okay, and then let's go 49. Let's see what happens there. 76.71. So let's go to 47 because I already crunched them up. So let's just hit it right there, and there we go. Now we have the same almost exact lengths. It's 47.9 on the 42. So it's close. I can sit here and just keep playing with this decimal and keep going until I had these exactly. But you're within the thousandths of a difference. So that's you've just solved for a parallel length. Now when you do it, it's going to be look a little crazy bend, a little hairy. It's not nothing conventional. And you might even want to look when you start bending these angles. You got a 47 here, which basically about a 45, and you may want to draw them out just to be sure that you have enough distance for one pipe to clear the next one, because you're crossing over, kind of thing, just like you are on the B6. As part of the canceling out stuff that's going on. So you just have to look at it, make sure there's nothing kind of overlapping, nothing's burning up. Okay, so let's go ahead and take this. Now we're going from 42 to a 36, and we'll make the radius is 20. The offset is now it's 24 plus 8 is 32. Okay, so and our angle is going to be, let's go ahead and just start at a 45 and see what happens. Okay, so now we're at 80.019, but we can go ahead and not tinker around with this, but take it right to the angle, which was, I think, this right here. So I can work it back and forth until I get it. I'm shortcutting. You got to sit and waste time. Now you have the exact same length from here to here. So now and I've heard some of these guys talk about the difference in these wire lengths on these parallels, and incurring some liability. And of course, if anything ever happens, they'll go through things with a microscope. So I don't know. It just might be a good idea to do something crazy looking like this bend that is mathematically accurate to get your conduits all the same length. Okay, so that's kind of it. That I wanted to finish up a little bit on this one. And as of course, as I said, uh, I've made an interactive website where you can go and try these calculators out. So if you learn these few basic inputs and send them to me, I can generate you a layout and email it back. So give it a shot until I get something out there, probably on Android Studio, but it still ain't yet. So till then, thanks for watching, and hope to see you on the next one.